Hi guys, in this video, I'm going to have an exam review session with a past paper. The paper is IB Economics Paper 2 SL from May 22 exam. Let's give it a go. All right, paper 2, question number 1. Question A1. Define the term foreign direct investment indicated in bold in the text. Text A, paragraph 3. I can define the FDI saying that FDI refers to capital or resource investment from other countries, firms, or government. Next, A2, define the term unemployment rate indicating the bold in the text. Text A, paragraph 6. Unemployment rate refers to a percentage of the labor force, which does not hold a job, that can be calculated by the number of people unemployed divided by the total labor force. Using information from Table 1, calculate North Macedonia's annual rate of inflation between 2016 and 19. Table 1 gives multiple CPI values, so I can use that to calculate inflation rate. 2017, 18, 19. Question B2. Using your answer to part B1, identify the year disinflation set in. Since the year recorded the inflation rate of 0.8%, which is lower than the previous year, 1.44. 3. Using information from text A, paragraph 4, calculate North Macedonia's balance of trade in 2018. If you check the text, you can get the values of both export and import, so I can get the answer. Question C. Using an ADAS diagram, explain the likely impact of North Macedonia's supply-side policies on its full employment level of output. North Macedonia's supply-side policies, including education and infrastructure investment, all those would lead to an increase in productivity and increase in the quantity and quality of resource of production. This would lead to an increase in full employment level of potential output, which can be illustrated from a long-run aggregate supply curve shifting to the right. Question D. Using an externalities diagram, explain how dependence on coal could be a source of market failure. A country's heavy dependence on coal as a fuel would create lots of external social costs, such as air pollution and healthcare costs, etc. And since the resource is over-allocated than socially optimal level, it is creating welfare loss. As depicted from the diagram, the market is at a disequilibrium between MSP and MSC. Question E. Using an exchange rate diagram, explain how the Central Bank of North Macedonia is preventing an appreciation of the dinar against the euro. Since the country intends to keep the currency value lowered, it would sell its own currency and buy more foreign reserves. In its forex diagram, the central bank increases the supply of dinar to buy more foreign reserves, making the supply curve shift to the right and keeping the value of dinar depreciated. F. Using an international trade diagram, explain the likely impact of the removal of import quotas on North Macedonia's production of wine. The removal of quota means that there is no more quantity restriction on imported wines, and the previous shortage of wine will be gone. Thus, it will result in a decrease in domestic production of wine, and it's going to lead to higher imports of foreign wine. And the wine price will decrease as well, as much as the world price level. Question G. Using information from text, data, and your knowledge of economics, discuss the likely economic effects on North Macedonia of its entry into the European Union common market. My intro will start with basic economic information of the country Macedonia, and I'm going to define trading bloc, especially common markets. First, I can explain the positive economic impacts of being a member of EU common market, and every argument is supported by the references from the given text and data. If the country becomes a member of common market, access to seaport would be easier, since North Macedonia is landlocked, and this would further attract investment. And the increase in trade could close the current account deficit, Also, the lower wage level available in the country may attract EU firms, which can decrease unemployment and create more jobs. Next, I can talk about long-term benefits. Since EU is providing financial assistance, so it's going to be helpful to make the country be globally more competitive, and it's going to allow more industry diversification, and more trade means the country can be more competitive, enjoy economies of scale, and improve resource allocation. And being a member of EU common market means that the country can have access to the imported capital goods without any tax or tariffs or restrictions. So it's going to enhance productivity and potential growth of the country. Lastly, the compliance with EU standards can be environmentally positive, so it can improve quality of life. Next is about the argument that talks about negative impact. And again, every argument is supported by the references from the given text and data. First, I can argue that there are short-term negative impacts of being a member of common market. Some jobs may be lost, especially in the agriculture sector, and the free movement of labor, which comes with the common market, may worsen the immigration problem and contribute to a brain drain problem in the country. Also, unlike the expectation, the trade may not significantly increase since North Macedonia is already having the agreement with the EU members. Also, as North Macedonia currently suffers a deficit in the balance of trade, so removal of quotas as a result of being a member of common market may worsen its balance of trade. Not to mention the fact that the repatriation of foreign firms may lead to a worsening of the balance of payments and a shortage of financial capital. Last is about the long-term negative impact of being a member of common market. First, the removal of quotas may have some impact on the local agriculture sector, which could worsen the incidence of poverty. And it can lead to over-reliance on other countries of food security. And North Macedonia will have to adopt EU's external tariffs, which may negatively impact its trade with non-member countries. Also, there could be a loss of sovereignty as the country will need to give unrestricted access to EU firms, which can be negative to the country's independence. About the country of Sierra Leone. Question A1. Define the term GDP indicated in bold in the text. Pretty simple question. GDP refers to the value of all final goods and services produced within an economy over a period of time. A2. List two dimensions of the inequality adjusted Human Development Index. It adjusted to include a long and healthy life expectancy and general education level. Question B1, using the information in Table 3, calculate the change in Sierra Leone's current account balance from 2017 to 18. If you check Table 3, we can find all the values that can be used for the current account balance calculation, the four of them, plus, minus, plus, plus, but these are minus numbers. So if I calculate the change between two countries, then it's going to be this much. Question B2, using the information in Table 3, calculate Sierra Leone's rate of economic growth between 2017 and 18. We check the Table 3 one more time, real GDP, the gap between 2 years and divided by the previous years, I can get the growth rate as this one. Question C. Using an exchange rate diagram, explain how the fall in export revenue contributed to the depreciation of the leon. The fact that the country experiences a fall in export revenue implies that foreigners would demand less leon to purchase the country's goods and services, decreasing the demand for the leon and leading to a fall in the exchange rate. as illustrated from the diagram above. Question D. Using an ADAS diagram, explain how the increase in the price of fuel might have contributed to inflation. The increase in the price of fuel means the increase in the cost of production of goods for the firms in the country. It's going to disincentivize the production and leading to lower production. So the SRAS curve will shift to the left, creating cost push inflation. Question E. Using a poverty cycle diagram, explain how the provision of free primary and secondary education may help households break the poverty cycle. Poverty trap refers to the situation where one's low income leads to low investment on human or capital investment, and as a result, low productivity. And it keeps affecting one another. In this regard, if primary and secondary education is freely provided, individuals can be better educated and can raise one's labor productivity, and in the end can earn higher income. That's why such a provision can break the poverty cycle. Question F. Using a demand and supply diagram, explain how modern farming practices could affect the market for rice. Modernized farming practices could increase productivity and efficiency of the production, since they would require less inputs and provide more ease of the production. So it's going to increase supply, resulting in a lower price and higher quantity available. Question G. Using information from the text, data, and your knowledge of economics, evaluate the impact of government intervention in promoting economic growth and economic development in Sierra Leone. Basically, this question asks us to evaluate Sierra Leone's various government policies that are presented in the text and the data. My intro will define economic growth, economic development, and government policies. First, analysis is about the policy evaluation in promoting economic growth, focusing on short-term and quantitative features of the policies. And every argument is supported by the references from the given text and data. First policy to evaluate is the policy of decreasing budget deficit. Then I identify both pro and con of this policy. Next policy to evaluate is the policy of removing fuel subsidy. Its pros would be that it's going to help reducing government spending and close the budget deficit. Also, it can reduce the negative externalities and related social cost. But the cons would be that it's going to lead cost push inflation, and it's going to lead to higher energy and transportation costs, making the economy suffer with the cost increase. Third is about the policy of providing tax benefits for foreign investment. The policy's pros would be that the increase in FDI could help compensate for the current account deficit, and more MNCs would provide on export markets, which could increase the export revenue and decrease current account deficit. But its cons would be that the excessive reliance on foreign investment might lead to a loss of sovereignty, and perhaps MNCs can exploit the country's resources and labor. Next body is about the policy evaluation in promoting economic development, especially on long-term and qualitative features of the policies. First, long-term policy is the provision of healthcare services in tandem with the private sector and NGOs. We can talk about, and I can talk about pro and con of this policy, which is obvious. Second long-term policy is the policy of providing free primary, secondary, and technical education. Its pros would be the fact that this will help households break the poverty trap, and it's going to empower women. But the con would be that it's going to be burdensome in government budgets. Last long-term policy that I can evaluate is the policy of improvement in infrastructure. Its pros would be pretty obvious since it's going to attract more MNCs to invest in the country with the better infrastructure, and it's going to allow the industry diversification, and it can definitely reduce unemployment and decrease the gap between urban and rural areas. However, again, it requires too much budget and lots of expected side effects. All right, that's the end of paper 2. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.